Be ready. Start. Vasudev Kutumbakam, your Valentine today. Very often, the word love is used loosely to refer to a spectrum of desire and feelings. We tend to bandy about the love word to describe any closely resembling feeling or situation because we are too lazy or ignorant to find the right word. We hear of people falling in and out of love, or that love grows or gets diminished with the passage of time, depending on the strength or weakness of a relationship or one's changing attitude and needs. What is being referred to here cannot be love because love is unchanging, a constant in the universe. It is there, has always been there, and will always be there. The love that changes can only be the desire or feeling that is often confused with love. Kama is sensual love in a young person experiencing hormonal highs. The sex drive is at its peak. The surge of feeling for someone you desire could be confused with love. At most, it is a biological need crying out for satiation. Prakriti, way of ensuring survival of the species. In relationships between family members, lovers, friends, and colleagues, love is prem, emotional love that makes you feel good, protective, and affectionate in the presence or absence of the one who is the object of your loving attention. Here, there is deep attachment that can not only generate joy and happiness but also suffering and intense pain. When we speak of love as a constant, we are referring to that which permeates the universe. You may call it divine love, universal love, or call it Anand, Anant, Akash, popular names given to children. Anand is ecstasy, bliss. Anand is infinite, and Akash refers to space and its vastness. These words are used in Indic culture to refer to love that is unconditional, unchanging, permanent, deep, and wide. Love that is the essence of Atma, the soul. Even a minor shift away from any of these aspects is not really love. It has to be something else that is transient, impermanent, uncertain, maybe even fleeting, and can cause a range of emotions, including sadness. Constant love is divine love, universal love that can only create joy, happiness, and ultimately bliss. This is what leads to ecstasy associated with spiritual evolvement, as evident in realized masters who tend to laugh and joke a lot, who remain unfazed, who stay balanced, and who are an infinite source of compassion. They are brimming with divine love inside out, a love that heals, a love that never lets you down. This love is present in every one of us, waiting to be discovered and embarrassed. It is also the love that suffuses the universe but remains largely unnoticed. We can safely say that love is not something you do or even feel. Love is your very being. So, feeling love is an oxymoron. Just like ice cannot feel cold and fire cannot feel heat, love cannot feel love. For love just is. It is your true nature. The love that Jivatma individual souls experience leads them towards Paramatma, the supreme soul Brahma, like the love of gopis for Krishna. The core of Advait is that ultimate reality is non-dual, constant love merging individual love with universal love can only be achieved with abhyas, consistent effort and practice, with unwearying focus on love and with mind and actions aligned with it. Return to Vedas, to your essential nature. At the Kumbh Mela Haridwar in 1867, Maharshi Dayanand Saraswati did something unheard of. The inner self of man, he writes in his magnum opus Satyarth Prakash, is the knower of truth and untruth, but through selfishness, stubbornness, malevolence, and ignorance, he leaves truth and inclines towards untruth. And the Vedas texts that are in consonance with the laws of nature contain the truth in its highest and purest form. Divinity is one in many and many in one, believed Swamiji. God is truth, the law of being, the upholder of Rita, cosmic order. The seemingly different gods in the Vedas represents his different aspects. Worships one god, bow before ideals and not idols, he advised. The divine is so great that his image cannot be conceived or made. Though invoked by many names, is the first manifested sound representing him. All the key mantras begin with this sacred monosyllable that has the quintessential elements of 52 Sanskrit letters, 16 vowels, and 36 consonants, each endowed with cosmic power. Dayanand regarded God, soul, and nature as independent and eternal entities. He denounced superstitions, priestcraft, ritualism, and animal sacrifice in the name of religion. Yajna, according to him, is a key concept of the Vedas. The creation of the universe has been regarded as a yajna undertaken by Vrit Purush, the creator. Its maintenance is possible by the continuous yajna of all beings, which means the performance of righteous actions by each member of society. Yajna is a process of spiritualizing human activities. It is a way to pay off the 5 debts. Deva Rin, debt to God, by performing prescribed sacrifices. Rishi Rin, debt to sages, by imbibing supreme knowledge. Pitra Rin, to parents and ancestors, by expiating rites. Bhut Rin, to plants, animals, and all of the nature, by concern and care. And Niri Rin, debt to human beings, by offering hospitality. To cleanse the atmosphere and boost prana, life energy, we need to perform Agnihotra, fire ritual, at Sandhya Kal, when day and night meet. He propagated the Purush Sukta, which appears in all the four Vedas is a metaphorical description of the cosmic creation coming out of the cosmic person, rejecting the theory that the Brahman was formed out of God's mouth. The Kshatriya from his arms, the Vaishya from his thighs, and the Shudra from his feet. Dayanand argued that this was a distortion of the scriptures, which clearly laid down that Varna Vyavastha, social order, ought to depend on gun, quality, karma, action, and swabhav, temperament of a person, and not on his birth.